it's such a, it's so hard. I feel so bad, blah, blah, blah. And then she said to me, call me back when you're ready to hear the truth about what it means to parent. You're saying them children that don't have a parent. And she called me again, and then she called me, you ready to hear? And she started telling me about how badly you have to beat the kids. And that these kids need like wicked parents. You break every bone in their body. You become the mother and the father. And I hung up on her and I never spoke to her again. And it took me about a year and a half to recognize that what she was trying to tell me was that there's a lot of love that we give our kids, and there's a lot of gvura, a lot of strength that we give our kids. And that kids that don't have a parent need a lot of strength and a lot of tough to keep on moving and to get them up and say, I feel really bad for you, but that's the reason why you're going to walk 5 blocks. I'm not paying for a cab. Get out there. I'll walk with you. I'm going to do the chesed, but you can do this. My son's class makes fun of me. They said, all the mothers say, Amram says that his mother says all the time, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Blah, 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 blah. Like, but it's very tough. Like, I can do it. You can do it. I can do it, and you can do it. We can do it. Get out of bed and get on the bus. Like, much stronger. Every mother and every child has a different parenting music. The name of this thing is called it's creating your own parenting, finding your own parenting style. And that's really what I wanted to say today, that really we all have our own parenting style. And if I'm saying something that's not for you, it's not your music, please don't try it. It's not, it's like it's very few rights and wrongs in parenting. It's so interesting how much stronger I've become as a mother in the last few months. No, you can have nothing from the supermarket. You're coming home now and we're going to eat supper. And like you became such a wish. And I tell them, hast du angefallen in Yiddish? Hast du angefallen? Like you fell in. How do you say that in English? Like poor you, like Nebuch, like what Chadaya, she says. Right? Chadaya, she always says, right? It's like, you fell in, you have a mother that loves you. Hast du Mama, was hat dich stark lieb? Nebuch, poor you. You always say Chadaya.
My housekeeper learned to say Chadaya.
Your mother loves you. Nothing. Come home. We have a warm, yummy supper. Every child needs something different. I always remember I had this moment. My neighbor downstairs, Malky Hershkowitz. So we're raising our families. We live in Borough Park. She's on the first floor. There's the middle floor. I'm on the third floor. My office is in the basement. And she's this sweet honey. Oh my, with this yummy little tiny skinny little kids, a bunch of them. And she has these twins. And she's waiting outside for the bus. And I'm waiting with my kid for the bus. And her son locked her out of the house. There's supper cooking on the fire. The food's on a flame. And there's, the phone is ringing in the house. And she knocks, the door is locked. And she knocks on the door. And she says, Shulam Nayach, open up the door. And he says, I'm not ready yet. And I'm like breathing. I'm thinking that I would do like a love sandwich. Like, I love you. Open the door right now. I love you. Like calm. And like, I'm having this whole recipe. But no, she's telling him, okay, let me know when you're ready. And then I hear the door unlocks. I say, Mom, the door's unlocked. Like, get in there. The food's burning, she's telling me. But she says, he didn't say he's ready yet. Then she hears him say, I'm ready. And she comes in the house. There's an entire box of groceries unpacked. And he's hiding in the box. And she's saying, where are you, Shulam? Giggle, giggle, giggle. And the whole box. And he says, boo. And he comes out. And she goes inside. She picks up the phone. She shuts the flame. I said, Malky, you're done. That's it. She said, no, tonight, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to talk about safety and about locking doors. And you know what? This is her parenting style. And her kids are so sweet. And for her, this works. I would choke the kid. You too, right? But for her, this works. There are not so many rules in parenting. I don't know, not in Shalom Bayis either, by the way, when it comes to human nature and human interaction. There are no rules. I was just talking to somebody amazing who was telling me that many years ago when she was complaining about her husband harassing her, I would say, we never accept abuse. You put down your phone. You tell him how you want to say it. Boo, 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 boo. Turns out, she tells me, that didn't work for him. I learned, grab a plastic wall and I become the therapist. I hear what you're saying. It sounds so painful. You know what? He's telling her how much he loves her now. It worked. So you're never allowed to bite a kid. If you're angry, please go into your room. Like, it's never okay, ever okay if you lose it, okay, it's normal. It's not okay. It's like eating too much cookies. You're not allowed. But it doesn't mean that you're crazy, but that's not chinuch. That means that you lost it. So besides for that, there are very few wrong or rights. And all I really want to do is really help you have the confidence to keep on trying it again and again and again and again and see what works. That's really. I just also want to say that a lot of mothers complain, like, if my husband's not taking the class, then what's the point? You asked if some of the men could listen to it, if they can come. So I find something unbelievable that when you're on your own page, people join you. But if you try to get someone on your page, it usually doesn't work. If you're okay, I watch kids. When Tati's home, you take off your coat and you throw it on the floor. And when Mommy's home, you hang it up on the hook. How many of your kids are bilingual? They speak to one grandmother one language, another grandmother another language, right? They're also bilingual with all this other stuff. They'll know your parenting and they'll know his parenting. And Hashem is the one that made him the father and you the mother and her the mother-in-law. Like, Hashem, that's what Hashem did. You didn't do that. Hashem loves our kids. I say this 1,000 times a day. Hashem loves my children much more than I love them. He knows what's better for them much more than I know. I tell this to myself again and again and again. Hashem made this situation for them. Their father is the perfect father for them. There are hundreds of fathers out there. I tried to explain to Hashem when my husband was on a respirator that he should there's a lot of other men that their wives wouldn't be so upset if they died. But for me, this is not going to work. And Hashem said, no, sweetheart, for you. He knows better. Hashem knows better. I just keep on saying it. So Hashem knows this is the Tati, this is the father for your child. So don't try, it doesn't work to try to force your husband to listen to her, listen to what she said. A lot of the men hate me. They see this book, they're like, I'm yelling and she's pointing to the book. Like, it doesn't help. It's not gonna work. You cannot really force him to do anything like that. In these classes, how old is your oldest?
6,
11, 12, 6. Okay, good. Okay, good.
How old is your oldest?
I have 5 grandkids and 5 married couples.
Yeah.
By the way, you get grandkids after this, which helps sometimes. You get these, and my daughter Feigl is a Hashem now with the baby. Like, there's we have a name after my husband. We have a Binyamin. So it's like, these, like, life keeps moving on, and the grandkids, and you get son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. It really doesn't stay like this forever. But the part of the brain that I'm going to try to work on with you on parenting is 0 to 10. And then after that, you go into adolescence, which is much more fun than this.
What's your youngest?
My baby just turned 7. Yeah. And I can do some step parenting if anybody needs. It's even more fun. You can't imagine. This is my step. So you are the mother, and and find your own way. And I do a lot of effort equals success. Like, it was a great day if I tried really hard. It wasn't a great day if I didn't lose it. If I didn't lose it, it's up to Hashem. Seriously. Some days some crazy things happen and you just stay calm. Now, you got lucky. And some days something dumb happens. The kid pulls on the wrong part of your skirt and you kick him. Like, it's an animal that comes out of you. And it has nothing to do. It just that's the truth. That parenting is not so much like, I tried. I was calm. I tried. I tell my kids all the time, you have such a high quality mother. Can we try this? You have such a high quality mother. I am so proud of myself. No, good night. Good night. It's time to go to bed. You could do this. That's it. It takes a lot of confidence. Just like I find that kids that grow up with trauma in their childhoods, a lot of them, their mothers felt like horrible mothers. It's not so much what you do. I mean, except if you had like a borderline narcissist mother. But other than that, it's not so much what you do. It's much more about how you feel about your parenting. It's so interesting. And I feel guilty. Who doesn't feel guilty? Oh, I really work on that because it's a lack of emunah, the guilt. It's a lack of faith, like the guilt. And the guilt I really find is what is what makes our kids feel insecure, like they don't have good mothers. There's really in chinuch, there are very few clear answers. There are very right and wrong ones. I remember when I tried to toilet train my brandy, who is married today, and she refused to toilet train. She would sit, was 3 years old, she would sit and then she would say, "What's that on the floor?" And I'm like, "What's that on the floor?" And it was after like 6 months, I took her to the pediatrician, Dr. Galina Gilioshkowitz, who's a tough Russian, like this, very tough. And she took my daughter and she said, I said, "I think she needs medication because she doesn't feel when she's making, and then she's on the floor. And I'm telling you, I have to send her to school. I'm telling you there's something wrong with her medically." She said, "I'll show you what's wrong with her medically." She zexed her down, she picked her up and she put her onto the changing table where the paperman cracks. I remember like boom, like, okay. And she said to her, "Stop driving your mother crazy. When you need to make, you use the toilet. Do you hear me?" Anyways, I was crying afterwards. She traumatized her. I could have yelled also, but you know what? She never had another accident. Once, when she came home once, I heard her say, the room was closed, the door was closed, and she was in the room, and I heard her say, "No, no, no, no," with that accent. And she had an accent. That was it. There isn't 24 hours of toilet training doesn't work for everybody. All the sleep training people do. It's great. If it works for you, go for it. It doesn't always work. There's human beings, there isn't a perfect recipe. You want to ask a question? No, you do, yeah.
Are there times where maybe feeling guilty is the right thing? Like, let's say you do something actually wrong, like you do yell at your child or whatever it is,
Right.
you lost it. Shouldn't that feeling of guilt, isn't there like a purpose?
Is there a purpose? It says right. So really, if you know the 4 steps of tshuva, it's in this class by the way. There are 4 steps of tshuva, right? One of them is charata, is to feel guilty.
So,
It is, yeah, but with this svarim say 30 seconds.
30 seconds. What?
30 seconds. You can feel guilty for 30 seconds. So there are some people that never feel guilty, something's wrong with them. But if there's something wrong with them, I'm not going to be able to help them in this class anyways. But most of us, something's really, really wrong with the brain. It's not something that we could help in a group. But most of us feel a lot of guilt. It says in the Gemara, Risha'im mileim harata. A Rasha is full of regret. How could that be? And they compare it to a beaver. A beaver's den, you're on this mashal, it's a beautiful one. A beaver's den, a beaver builds a den. He goes out of the den and he leaves the den, he goes to the water. And I'm just thinking that this is all from my late husband. It's beautiful. Okay. He goes to the water and he catches some food and then he goes back to the den. And scientifically, the studies show that every step that he takes on the way out, he will take back no matter what. So if you want to catch a beaver, it's really simple. You wait till he leaves the den. He's going to the water. He leaves his babies it's a her actually. She leaves the babies in the den. You put up a big ugly trap that you can all see. You can see it. You leave the den, you walk back, and then when he comes back, she will take the exact same steps into the den and will die in the trap. So before the beaver is standing here, has the food, the babies are in the den, they're crying for food. She sees this big trap. She wants to go to the babies and she cries and she cries and she cries and she goes straight into the trap and she gets killed. And that's compared to the guilt. Risha'im harata is a rasha is full of regret, and the guilt, just make sure that you're going to eat twice as much, that you're going to yell twice as much. It never, ever, ever, ever works. I do this more in my victory class. Like the negativity doesn't work, and yet we're so like crazy about, like it's so natural for us. Like if I'm going to love them, even though we do that, they're going to do it again and again. If I'm going to tell myself I did my best, it's okay. So tomorrow I'm going to just yell twice, but it's not true. I think you say that's something I don't want to do again. What's the plan for next time? But that's really all that is. There was a beautiful story from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that I really liked. He was walking to shul, and a man asked him for money. This is one of the Lubavitcher. I don't want to ever hear which one. No, he decided. Somebody asked him for money. He said, "No problem. I'm going to shul. I'm going to daven. When I finish davening, I'm going to come and I'll give you the money." And by the way, everyone understands my language here? Yeah, if you don't, please ask me, okay? Because I do a lot of like the little pieces in different languages. Do something. So he's walking to shul and he's thinking to himself, really, I shouldn't wait till after I daven. The market's going to be closed. The man needs the money, has to go to the marketplace. But I'm davening before an Amid. Everybody needs me in shul. How can I? And he's going to shul and he's telling himself, I should really be at home. but I should really be in shul. But I should really be at home. I should really run home and give him the money. He needs the money, but how can I make everybody wait for one person? And he gets to shul. But that feeling of like, I'm really here, but I really should be somewhere else. Is that familiar? Yeah, all the time, no matter what you're doing, right? I always say there's 12 kids and like 48 needs. Everyone needs something right now. I should be doing this, but I should be doing that, but I should be doing this, but I should be doing that. And he got to shul and he started davening and he couldn't concentrate. He was the whole time worried. So he closed his siddur, he went home, he gave the man the money, he went back to shul and he davened. And then that night he had a dream. And in his dream, his father came to him in his dream and he said, my son, you did the right thing. And I was thinking to myself that from now on, all of us are going to give ourselves that dream. My daughter, you did the right thing. Just to like tell yourself that, like, it's very normal to not know. And nobody can tell you what's right or what's wrong. I don't think that there are many rights or wrongs. You're figuring it out. It's consistently a guessing game. It's listening to your intuition and going with it. And then afterwards, you don't know, was it really your intuition or was it something else? And then, boom, it works. You never know when it's going to kick in. There aren't so many, like, don't anyone that tells you, like, I read this new book and I have the way. Hashem Yishmar. Like, this is the way. I'm so happy that this is your truth with this child for right now until either you change or the child changes. So that's really, and the goal is to really help you find a place inside you and just learn how to trust yourself. Like, go inside you and just like, look, what do you think is the right thing now? And we say pick and stick. Just guess and go with it till the end. Let's just do, now we just had some chasera in shul. Yeah? Do you go for some chasera to shul? Yeah? Do you have to go? Yeah, do the kids have to go?
No.
How old do they have to go? I spent about like hours trying to figure out which shul we're going to. The late ones or the early ones. We say there's a late and an early husband. So which one? Okay. Who's going to which shul? When can they go to the other shul? Is it okay if one of the kids stay in bed? Doesn't want to go? I don't know. We guessed. Well, who really knows? I don't really know. But, and then at the end of the day, like Hashem sometimes shows us like it was a good choice. And I want my kids to have good memories of shul. If I'm forcing too hard, how hard am I pushing? Am I pushing too hard? They're going to have bad memories if I'm pushing too hard. But maybe the kid, we don't know. It's very, very, very normal not to know. And I think that when kids see that we let ourselves be a good enough mother, let's say you made a mistake. I remember this is like the first time I took a real risk. I told my daughter, my Freigela that's having her fourth now, that she cannot take her camera to school. In fourth grade, she does not have a camera. And I really made a mistake. I didn't know that school in fourth grade, they already had cameras. And she was really the only one in the class that didn't have a camera. And I picked no camera and I stuck to it. And I said, by us, I don't know, by us, it was 8th grade before you got a camera. Today, the kids have cameras. I don't know for mine, but,
Cell phones?
So what?
Now it's cell phones.
Now it's cell phones. Yeah.
The latest cell phones.
Everyone wants to upgrade its cell phone, and the upgraded cell phone also a big fat guess. And the technology is also every 3 months we start again from scratch, figuring out something new for every child and something, it's unbelievable. What do we know? The kids know the technology much better than us. And I picked and I sticked and I was tough. And she came home with red eyes. She cried her eyes out. She was the only nab on the thing. Maybe it was a mistake. But it wasn't a mistake because I tried. And we're aiming for 80%. Children that grow up in a home where 80% of the time the interaction is healthy, 20%, nothing really. It's called the 80%, 20% theory. If 20% of the time you have chicken and potatoes and a vegetable for a side dish for supper, cake and milk, the other 20% is not going to kill the kid. Okay? It's okay if they just going to have some potato chips. Nothing's going to happen. Kids that grow up with every single day, every single meal being perfect, they also messed up. Okay? We're aiming for 80%. Miriam Adahan, she was my mother who started this all with me. She always told me, we aim for average. And I would tell maybe you, but not me. That's so boring, but it's so smart and it's so true. Aim doesn't have to be the perfect home. And just, my late husband used to always say, average is not so average. Pusha is like push. It's not so simple to be simple. It's a lot. Average is a lot. Just normal, stable. And I don't want to be, no one has to be a perfect mother. I remember when I was giving one of my first classes, the woman said to me, even the refrigerator came with instructions. These kids came with no instructions. This is the manual, she told me. Now I have an instruction book. You're gonna save me here. Like, I have no idea what to do. What's the goal? She said, my kids should have no complaints. I'll tell you, in Jersey City, in Liberty, where my husband is buried, where there are graves, there are no complaints. I mean, I hope. Like, until then, like, your children will have to work through their own issues. Every one of your children, healthy children, do have issues, and you will make mistakes, or even if you do the exact same thing, it might have a bad effect on a child. We don't really know. We don't really have control over that. Like, your kids will still have complaints. My husband now, he keeps on singing the song, someone help me. Like a vessel, like in the hands of the creator, a craftsman. What?
Who sings that?
I don't know, but my husband was singing. We're being recorded, or I would sing it. Like, just like we're gonna just keep on like becoming that vessel that Hashem wants us to be. Like, and we're gonna let Hashem you ever saw someone by a pottery wheel? It's like a piece of pottery, and Hashem's like a craftsman, and he's making us be the person, and making our children's childhoods are perfect for the person they need to become. We don't know. We always tell my kids, you have a great mission on this world. I don't know what it is, but Hashem does. Yes.
Can I go back to your camera
Yes.
example?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
I just want to, for example, let's say you spoke to, like, say it was a class of 15 kids, and you spoke to like eight of the moms, and they all said that they send their child to class with a camera.
Okay.
Would your decision of not letting her go with the camera have changed if you knew majority?
Do I think that I made a mistake I learned something for the next time? It was a lesson. Do I think that camera story was a beautiful lesson, that next time before I make a decision like that, to call a few mothers in the class and find out what's going on? Yes, I learned the lesson, but I don't think that my daughter was terribly damaged. Like, maybe it wasn't, I didn't recognize that I needed to do more research. Yes, you're 100% right. So we always learn for next time.
Let's say you did speak to the mothers and they all did it. How would you have approached the situation to let her take the camera?
I think I would have got, maybe it was about buying her a camera. If I would have, I like, my opinion on a whole is that if everyone is doing it, I don't want to make my child different. They deal with so much in social setting these days. There's so much going on. I don't think that I need to provide extra challenges. That's just my opinion for this kid for right now. But on a whole, yes, you're right. I should have. I once met a woman with black skin on the train. She said, honey, I want to tell you something. Everything in life, or she's a lesson, or she's a blessing. You have to say it like that, or else it doesn't rhyme. Or she's a lesson, or she's a blessing. Very spiritual. I loved it. That's the truth. So that was a lesson. I learned that I apologized to my daughter. I think so. Should I have? I'm not sure. What do you think? Yeah. I said I was so strong. I'm proud of myself. I was strong, but next time I would have liked to have called a few mothers in the class and found it out. Yes, thank you. I find as a mother, it's so helpful to keep on learning and growing and reading, but more like a smorgasbord. Like, you're not going to eat everything at the wedding smorgasbord. Please don't eat the whole smorgasbord, but just to smell it and to look at it and just to learn and to know. And we get these minutes with our kids that like suddenly like a window opens up. You know what I'm talking about? And you can like talk about like you never even know what's going on in these little things' brains. And then you get to know, and then you get a chance to like talk about something. So I'm grateful to Hashem when I heard something or learned something or read something, and I can go in there and just like share with it. I remember when my oldest daughter came home from school, she was 5 years old, and she said to me, Mom, a girl in my class told me that there's a baby in her mother's belly. She was the first time she ever heard of that concept. Like, is it true that there are babies in mothers' bellies? So maybe, but us were like a little bit further back with it, but like still like, but I took a deep breath. I remember learning that you're not reading somewhere that if you're gonna like blush or like look at your nails, that like you're gonna give her the wrong message. I said to her, yeah, it's true. She said, really? All mommies have babies in their bellies? I said, no, Tati and I got married and we used to daven, Zara, Chaya, V'Kayama, that we should have children. We davened for children a lot. She said, also boys have babies in their bellies? I said, no, only girls. She said, yes, I'm so excited I'm a girl. And that was it. And I remember thinking to myself, I read that somewhere. That didn't come from me. That didn't come from me. That I learned somewhere. That I read somewhere. So it's so good to just keep on, like, when you hear other people parenting, people get very anxious. Like, oh my goodness, I have to be doing this. I have to be doing that. I can't do this. It's a smorgasbord. Relax. Just listen. You never know when you might need something for one child, and it's like, and when different things happen, and you might be end up doing different things for different children. It's very helpful to understand what's going on in your child's brain. I have this picture of the brain in your it says page 12 on it.
Somebody asked if it's okay for the 20% to lose it. Is it okay to lose it, that 20%?
So I have an opinion that if you lose it, you say, I'm sorry. Otherwise, it's not okay. Oh, this sweet mother I met today, counseling, she told me that on Shabbos, she lost it with her daughter, who was really a real teenager. And she did not help think all Yontif. Yeah, we had now. Yontif, Shabbos, Yontif, Shabbos, Yontif, Shabbos. She didn't lose it on her daughter once until after Shabbos. Bereshis, now. And she was feeling terrible about it. And I said to her, I get every bracha, every mother in Klal Yisrael should have been able to hold it with a kid. Thank you. That's so obnoxious. I mean, the girl is just like laying in bed and not helping an ounce, and there's so much to do for all that time. So I said, but you should say I'm sorry, because if you lose it, then you made a mistake, and you need to say I'm sorry.
But what if the only way they listen is if you lose it? Yeah.
And then you tell them, I have to lose it because that's the only way you
Right,
listen.
they say, like, why are you yelling? I'm like, 'cause that's when you do it.
You
Like,
look
I've
at
been
this
telling
mommy.
you for an hour.
Look at her whole body. She's kite. She's like breathing. Right. So that's your sweet, warm room energy. You're gonna find the style that's gonna work without guilt tripping them. But I'd rather, like, guilt is like not for them and not for you. Something that's gonna be a little tougher, and also maybe that you're gonna appreciate about yourself, that you're so full of chesed and sweetness and kindness and goodness, and that most probably you may have to say things more than once before they listen, because that comes with a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses. But that's, but to tell them, to teach them about you, like when you tell a kid, right? You only listen. If I yell, you're actually teaching them about them. I am a person that doesn't get listened to, and you are a person that doesn't listen unless you're yelled at. So we really don't. That's not a great lesson. We want to say, like, you're really a great listener. It's just that you have a hard time hearing me. We have to figure something better out. That's what I'm going to do at Mitzvah Hashem in this series of 10. But I want to show you first a little bit. Why is it that we can be so nasty to our kids that we would never do to, like, the mailman? Like, right? Like, you would never, like, if the neighbor asked you for a cup of sugar every morning, and you would think you wouldn't slap her. Why? What's going on? Why do we act like such animals around our kids? Right? And the answer is because when Miriam Adahan taught this to me, she was my mother. She taught me about the brain, that there are 3 parts to the brain. Here, where you put a yarmulke and tefillin, that's the logical part of the brain. That's why it's better when you have a husband, because they have this part of the brain a little bit better. Like that up here, and like it's like a little bit more logical. Like that's here, and then you have here the limbic system that's like in the middle where you can't touch, and that's where like our woman glorious emotional part of the brain. And then we have the part of the brain here, that's the primal part of the brain, that's like where a baby is born in. So it goes like this, okay? The lowest part of the brain, in Tanya we call this the Yetzer Hara, or we call this the Nefesh HaBahamis, like an animal, like a snake. Like if you touch me, I'll bite you. Like if I woke you up in the middle of the night and I pinched your foot in your sleep, if you were healthy, you would kick me in the face. A baby, 3 months before a baby's born, they already have a lower brain, a Nefesh HaBahamis. It's an instinct to stay alive. When they are born, the first thing a baby will do is, and they will manipulate you into feeding them. It's an animal instinct. Feed me, hold me, hug me. It's if you're around an adult and you want to bite them, something is wrong, most probably with you and with the other adult. If the other adult also, it has to be like because you get pulled into that part of the brain. I remember meeting my seminary teacher, Mrs. Wasserman, when I had 4 babies. At that point, I had a 4-year-old, 2 2-year-olds, and a baby. And I said to her, I was 200 pounds heavier than I am now. I was very heavy. And I said to her, what happened to me? Do you remember me in high school? I davened Shachris and Mincha and Mariv. I didn't speak Lashon Hara. I made a cheshbon nefesh every night. And now I just eat chocolate and yell at my kids. Something happened to me. What is, I said, if you would look at my window and watch me with the kids, you would be horrified. Like, I don't understand. And she said to me, welcome to the world of the behemoth, of the animal, that children are in their lower brain and they naturally pull us in there. A lot of mothers, while they're nursing, the baby says, eat, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. And the mother says, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. We become very primal. And that's just what happens. And I do find that we get a chance to re-raise ourselves and rebirth ourselves when we have children, because you become that child together with that child. How many mothers tell me, why did I have these kids? I don't even remember. And then someone told me something, I repeated, I was so sweet. She said to me, I think it's an avera for me to have more kids. I'm like messing these kids up. But what she doesn't realize is that she's actually creating a new template, like a new form of a person. When my Nechemila was born 7 years ago, I wasn't able to have any more children. It was my 7th C-section. My 8th child, I had twins. So that's how I got Aiden. And I was paralyzed from an epidural. It was very, very scary. Baruch Hashem, I'm okay. But that was it. I can't have another C-section. And I cried and I cried and it took me about a year to get over it. I said, Hashem, now you can come into my bed. It's fine. You can eat my food. Like I become a different person. I'm stretched. I re-raised myself 8 times over. And now I'm the kind of person, another 4 kids wouldn't make a difference. But I have another 4 kids now. Wow. I was thinking about it. I always tell my new stepkids, I doubt for you guys. Aww. I wanted this, not like this, but yeah, it's very sweet.
But what makes you, when you're so exhausted and like, you're just out of it? Like what, like.
With the little one?
Yeah, when you had twins.
Yes.
You had a kid, 2 twins, and another kid.
Yeah.
You were changing 4 diapers, maybe.
Do you know that when I had number 4, and this is when I started to write these parenting classes, I was 25 years old. I'm 44 now. Okay, I was 25 years old when I started writing these parenting classes. It all started when that one was born. She's married now. I don't think she's going to be damaged by this story because I didn't say the story in a long time. I sat down with my husband and I asked him, who do you love more, me or Brian D? And he said to me, I don't know what you want from my life. I said, this is a really life-turning question. Who do you love more, me or Brian D? Because one of us are going. Me or her. I can't do this. Yeah.
So what makes you want to have another kid?
It gets easier. Anyone have more kids? It gets different.
Where's the motivation? After 8, want more. I don't understand that.
Right.
I don't get it. I want to be like that.
Right.
I want to have 13 kids too.
Yeah. So she wants the one, but where's the one come from?
Yes.
Where does the clay come from? I ask Hashem for it all the time. You should know one of the things I was thinking about when you called me to give this parenting class. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to convince parents to have more kids. I told them on the way here. Like, I'm talking to myself more than everybody else. Why? Because now they're getting married and they're leaving the nest. Like, is that what? Like, I didn't realize when I was raising them. They're like, it's really not forever. And especially my boys are married with their babies. I miss them. Like, they're like, I'm like, that's why I did this. Like, really? But yeah, that's why I did this. And like, it's like a lifetime of like, it's not just like a little thing. But the 4 babies was by far the hardest. 1 to 2 was by far, you lose your complete sense of identity. There aren't adults in the house. Right now I'm doing a lot of amazing work up here. Like a lot, it's much more fun than diapers. I'm not really so good at diapers. Some people like the babies. People enjoy different stages of parenting. By the way, it's okay for you to hate certain stages of parenting. You don't have to love every part of parenting. And the part of parenting you don't love, you can avoid doing to the best of your abilities. I have a lot of help. A lot of cleaning help. 8 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, Sunday.
Wow.
a lot of help, you know, and I still work really hard. It's like, it's still, there's plenty for all of us to do. So that, like, you know what I'm saying, but how do you get motivated
Yeah.
when you're with just the little ones and you're stuck in that lower part of the brain, knowing that it's not forever. And I also find that it is like a must. Do you work out of the house? It's like, it's like a must. You have to be in the gym. You have to be around some people that also have a limbic system and a cortex. Because children only have a lower brain. So they're fun and they're yummy and you will become a child. You ever watch mothers with kids? They become kids. If you're around the kids, or you know these crazy stories you have with preschool teachers, not preschool, like with child care, when there's like nobody else around and you read these creepy stories, right? Where they become animals, for real. That's when you have like 8 babies with one, or 9 or 10 babies, and you hear all these like abuse stories that happened in the child care system when there's no other adults around and the mother becomes a 2-year-old baby. There's one adult there that becomes a child. You need to make sure that you're also around adults. You go to the gym, you take a course, you go to shear, you come do this. You must make sure. But also I find that once I'm aware, Carol, sweetheart, how old are you now? You know, in Parshas Bereshis, we say Ayeka. Hashem, like Adam and Chava are like hiding behind a big leaf. And Hashem is saying, Ayeka, where are you? Like, what part of the brain are you in? Like, you're hiding from me? Like, where are you? So if I'm like, with the kid, I say, okay, Ayeka, where are you right now? You're acting like you're 1.5. He's 1.5, but how old are you? Deep breath, go to the bathroom, call a friend, listen. You know, sometimes I'll like call my friend and say, tell me about the elections or give me a Dvar Torah, like pull me up here. Like, and once you get up here, you ever had it like you like with it, you're in with it, like I said, get into the bathroom. I'm not getting in the bathroom. You're like getting like, and then there's a knock on the door and somebody wants something or a phone call, and then you're like, it's gone. You're in a different neural path, and suddenly like you're fine. Like, and then you're like, you don't even remember. Like, and then you're like, actually, you need to go into the bath now. Good night. Like, you're just able to be an adult. Because just being around children will pull you into that part of the brain. I think you're also talking about the physical work, because you're saying the diapers.
No, I don't have diapers anymore, but like I have 2 boys and a girl.
Right.
So they always have to touch each other. Like I have to like separate them. Like
Right.
I have to stand like this all day. They can't touch. They like beat each other up.
Can you give us examples of how to deal with children that are hitting each other? Like,
So
I need
I'm
examples.
gonna do a bunch of this, but right now I first want
Foundation.
this is foundation. It's a series of 10, but that's really it's about like there are different things that you can try, and it's completely safe if you touch each other. Is there any lifetime? Like,
They get bruises. They get hurt. They cry.
Right. Like, we're gonna try a lot of different ideas, but this like you ever had when the kids scream like now, and you're like I have to run right this second because now actually you're in the middle of cooking something and one kid's on the other kid's back. It's okay.
But then
It
when
can
my
wait.
daughter gets hurt now.
Okay, how old is she?
She's 2.
She's
She's
2.
in the mix.
Right. So I'm gonna do a bunch of different ideas,
Yeah.
but if like you think she can protect herself?
She gets hurt. She does get hurt.
She does.
She does get hurt.
Right.
She gets
I'm-
scared. She gets hurt.
I'm gonna teach you how to like different ideas of how to help it, but just recognize first that usually what happens is that she's fighting and he's fighting and you get in there, you hit everybody. You become like the 4th kid in there. And why are you doing that? Because it's really contagious. The lower brain, you get caught up and you really get into that place. I find that until the age of 7, children only have a lower brain. They don't have any other. I really wonder, by the way, this is very old science. It's possible that it was updated because they keep on changing it. I don't know if the brains keep changing or the science keeps changing. I did research it a few years ago again.
I think kids are just exposed to things now. Kids are just smarter.
Like, they know more.
But do you know
I
that the
don't know if
cortex,
your brain
it says in the
ready.
Torah, right? It says in the Torah that you're not chayiv b'dei shamayim. You're not considered an adult till you're 20. We do bar and bas mitzvah, but really not before the age of 20. Because the cortex, you don't have enough neurons in the cortex. Today they're saying, first they said 26, they up to 26, now they're up to 30. And you actually see a lot of 30-year-old teenagers that are exploring and they're like, they're doing like, the brain is just like,
takes longer to develop.
It takes longer to develop because everything's mixed up. Everything's really all over the place. So in a way, they must have some part, but for sure we know that children till the age of 7, they exist primarily in that part of the brain, and it's a very powerful part of parenting because whatever you can help a child change in a positive way before the age of 7 goes into the lower part of it goes into their DNA. It goes into a part of their brain. They'll have it forever. Like whatever you can focus on, whatever you can give a child, they'll have it. They'll give it over to their children. Like I always think about the amount of chesed that my late husband put into the kids. Like they have it forever and ever and ever. Like you're so lovable. You're so good. All those messages until the age of 7. That's really what you get. I actually close my eyes when I start to make noises. You know those noises? Any of you, maybe some of you don't make those noises. Like if you when I'm starting to make the noises, I close funny noises. Yeah, and then I know that Perl, you're in Bronx Zoo, you're in the zoo. This is it. You're 2. You're 1. You're not in the right place. And take especially if any of you doing single parenting, but there isn't another adult, you get lost in there much faster. It's like I want you to take a crane and I visualize myself get yourself out of there, do something up here, read. You ever read for 3 minutes and suddenly your brain is oh, okay, I know who I am, I know how old I am, now go back to the kid. It's okay to do that. That's just the beginning of doing this. The limbic system starts to kick in between the ages of 3 and 5. Love me, respect me, and needs full approval. And teenagers, their limbic system united. It's just all about emotions and ruach and just you used to always buy us takeout, and now you're not giving us takeout anymore, and it's tears, and you're traumatizing us for life, and I'm gonna die from hunger in these 5 blocks. Give me the credit card number now. I have the guy on the phone. I already made the order, and I'm you don't have that here. Maybe you don't deal with it here like that. We live in Brooklyn.
Our kids don't eat at home.
They're only eating takeout. So it's like I start to tell my son about Rosh Chodesh. It's gonna be tomorrow night, and Mitzvah Hashem, we're gonna order French fries. She's like, of course, but right now, I need this right now. And then I just noticed more and more and more and more, just to not get caught in that ruach, in that emotional swing. I watch.
So what do you do when they always want?
Yeah.
Whatever you give them, then you tell them that you teach them, just like you teach them. I only have to yell. You teach them whatever I give you, it's never enough. But just here, I'll do this to keep you quiet. But then you give them more, and the more you give them, the more they want, right?
Yeah.
I know. I don't know why. I just feel like today they need more boundaries than when I started all those years ago. They need much more boundaries. Say tough mother. I remember one of my friends, she always liked this. One of my daughter's teenage friends asked her, and she's like, yeah, she's always, my mother. And I'm like, yeah.
So how do you create these boundaries in a respectful and nice way and not in a nasty way?
I know, because what happens is that when we're strong, we feel abusive, not assertive. I know how to be able to do that. I'm going to do this. It's another. I'm going to show you all the classes. That's really. It's about yes.
Is it ever too late to start boundaries?
It's never too late to start boundaries, but I do notice that the later you start, the harder it is. But I tell myself all the time, it's not a mistake. It's not. And plus, today our kids, things are changing so fast. They're always wanting something new. Like you just said no, and then but there's a new chip to it, a new twist to it. So maybe now it's a yes, and then it just takes.
How if it's like a candy?
And you're saying no. If you want to start saying no with candy now, you can start.
It's okay, 1, then it goes 2,
Right.
then it became 10 all this.
One that we're gonna do in one of our classes pretty soon. I think it's next week or the week after. I have to check. That we're gonna do we're gonna all set a new boundary just for fun. Yes. And yeah.
Just to bring this to light, to keep in mind,
Yes.
for when we get through it, my biggest difficulty in setting boundaries and standing my ground is the fact that I have other children to take care of. So let's say my 4-year-old is having a tantrum
Right.
that he needs this I went to pick him up from school.
Right.
I live right across the street, and he's like, I need water right now. Like I
Right.
need water right now. But like I wanted to just be like, okay, I had to get it right away because I had my baby waiting at
Yes.
home and like you know what I
Good.
mean? Like I
Yes.
had to just get so I kind of just give in to what he wants sometimes.
Because right now you're feeling very overwhelmed.
Because I have my 1-year-old
Yes.
waiting, like crying, like I can't like
Right. And I'm going to tell you,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
going to end with a stunning story at the end. Like this is really where our Amuna comes in. That like this is the perfect environment for your child. So even though you really want to say no, and now you're saying yes, that's also a great choice. Don't worry, Hashem will give you hundreds of opportunities to say no.
So that's the 20%.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Right, but you get what I mean, like I have this other thing to do right now.
And then I tell myself, you made a great choice. Good for you. You gave him the water, even though you said no water. And then you realize it's just scientifically not worth it. You're not going to be able to get home. And you gave him the water and you said, you know what? I changed my mind. Here's the water. Enjoy it. And that's it. Yeah.
It's nice to say that at the end, like, no, I changed my mind.
It's okay.
Like you flipped it for the positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do when over time you become worn down and like things that never used to bother you now? So for example, my 4-year-old, she can speak so loudly or scream loudly where I'm like, I think my ears are gonna bleed.
Okay.
And I tell my kids, I'm like, guys, mommy has like old lady ears. I'm like, I really can't handle this. Please, like, and specifically to her, but I tell her like, please lower your voice, and she gets offended.
Oh.
But I don't know how to deal with it because I'm like, is there a dinosaur in the room? Like, I don't get how it's so loud.
Right. You
And
know
then
the
so I
we
don't
tape.
know what to do.
You remember when you used to have a tape recorders? You went like this for volume up and like that for volume down. So I don't know how you do it with your phones or whatever, but just figure out a way to do like I just do like lower. I want to. We do this. I say I want to hear you lower it down. Who asked if it works?
Me.
It works means that she stayed calm, not that the kid got quieter. Because if it works if the kid got quieter, I hope so. But you sometimes yes.
So it's really like verbal talk, like talks to myself, saying like, it's okay that you're talking this loud. Like, what do I? How do
I like
coach myself through?
I'd rather not do the old lady thing because you will make your mother old. You know, or we all have this and not do the ear bleeding thing. I mean, do it with your friends, but not with her, because
I don't tell
Right.
them my ears are bleeding. I just
Right,
say,
right.
In my head, I'm
Right.
thinking to myself,
Right.
I can't tolerate this anymore.
I tell
and
myself
know it's gonna
how
be
much
painful.
noise Hashem wants me to have in this house was decided on Rosh Hashanah. Even if I wouldn't have any kids, I would still have this amount of noise. This is the noise Hashem wants, like just like that. And then I just say, you need to lower your voice. I love you. I want to hear you. You need to lower your voice. As soon as you're ready to lower your
The
voice,
way she said
I
it.
can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how she just said like that?
Yes.
It seems like the advice that you're giving is more so to like make yourself as a mother feel okay with what's going on and accept it.
Good.
And maybe in as a result,
Yeah.
you end up teaching your kids something like, you know, a calm demeanor or like that everything's gonna be okay, and then you have like more time to kind of think it through and then come up with like a
So it's
a better
always about
solution.
talking to yourself on
Right,
the
so
inside.
like
A lot of internal talk, because I think that you must have your daughter guy gets insulted because she's a girl and she's super intuitive. The fact that you're feeling so triggered by this, that's really all she's hearing is your trigger, which is normal, all very yummy, normal, high functioning, high normal stuff. But like that's really why she's so insulted. And you're like, I said it nicely, but I'm going crazy on the inside. Yeah, and
no, I'm just trying
the
to like,
internal
understand the
talk
message, like,
is what I don't have any lessons on the internal
right,
talk.
like
But the internal talk is what you're going to hear from me and the Amuna more and more and more, and the whole time and the whole time and the whole time. That's really what this is.
Sorry about it. If
yeah.
someone asks a question, can you repeat it? Because
Yes.
I can't hear it on Zoom.
Okay. Someone else had a question? No,
I
someone.
have a question.
Yes.
So similar to what Rebecca said.
Yeah.
And maybe why I'm here. I always thought like as a parent, not always, like I know there's times I won't become, but I gotta be positive and try to encourage and, you know.
Who's Rebecca, by the way?
Me.
You, Rebecca, you see, they're both so soft. Yes. Yeah.
I see it, but I'm every day like yelling at my children
Yeah.
and because
The soft comes with the yelling.
I tried the soft, I tried
Right.
to mention, like praise them,
Right.
that they're doing well, and you know, try to make rules and everything
Right.
nice and warm. But it doesn't work. Like they know they shouldn't do certain things, but they still do it. And I found that the only way I can be effective is if I yell, but I
Right.
don't want to do that.
So mommies that are
I'm
more,
like fighting
but
to
she's
get
saying
them
that
to do
she's
what I want.
so passive, she's more soft, and that's the reason why I'm repeating your question now. And that's the reason why you feel the kids aren't listening unless you're yelling. So I feel like every one of us has a different like soul. Some of our souls are softer. Like it's just it's a nefesh thing. It's just how you are, and that's what you children chose and need. And our lifetime of work is going to be working on being less passive and more assertive. What you end up being is abusive.
Right,
So the difference between assertive and abusive is pretty fine string. And also sometimes when we're assertive, we feel like we're so abusive that we end up being abusive, because as soon as you're not passive, the kids are letting you know how abusive you are. So then you're feeling really guilty, and then usually that's what happens.
So the thing is that I want to be more. I want to be effective
Right.
and get them to do what
So
I
I'm
want
going to do
and
it. I'm going to teach you
in a
something called
polite
like,
manner, not with
I
the
want to be able to be
or-
very loving. So on the way home from school, should we be zeicha that the kid went to school, he stayed in school, and he stayed for English, and now he's coming home. So lucky if I get the call in the grocery on the way home that he needs to have food. He could take the bus to me, but he takes the bus to the grocery. He needs to buy a noodle soup on the way home and a Coke. That's really like a best case scenario, right? And then he's like, I'm dying, I need it right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy you're home. I missed you. That's a connect. And then I do that. There's yummy food at home. We eat food from the house. I can't wait to hug you. Come home. It's a connect, a direct, a connect. A direct, I'm going to teach you to be very loving and very strong. Your kids will absolutely hate it because they'd rather that you scream and yell, but they get what they want. So you can be nice and be very
They
strong.
want us to like scream and yell, our children. They want
It does feed something in their brain when we yell. It gives them a ton of attention, power, and entertainment. It's in another class. All right.
Okay, so we'll get to a little bit.
I'll tell you a really cute one. A woman from one of the communities here made an appointment to see me, and if I repeat it later, remind me not to. And she waited 4 months for the appointment. I was helping with one of her kids on drugs, and that was at the end of the session, she asked me how I have the guts to charge so much money. So immediately, I wanted to be like, oh, for sure. I really, I wanted her to tell me how much money I was worth, and that she would do it again in a minute. And I
You're
was
worth
really so
more.
hurtful. Oh, thank you. She says I'm worth more. I have to repeat it.
it.
And so, anyways, so I just wanted to let her know that it's really guts of her. You hear how I'm squeaking? That it's really not fair that she's doing this after 4 months of waiting for me at the end of the session. So she went on to explain to me that a roast, how much beef she can get for that amount of money. So I seriously, and I was like, "You're serious?" I just said, "It sounds like this is really hard for you. How do you want to pay, cash or check?" So she said to me, "You know how many shoes I can fix for this amount of money?" And I said, "It sounds really, it's really hard for you." I mean, her husband was waiting outside in a really nice, really like all the kids on the block were watching the car. They couldn't. It was like a very high end kind of a car. So she started to cry, and she said to me that by us, we don't pay for the rabbi. And it's like, you're a rabbi, like, we don't pay for this. And my husband's going to be really mad, which is also something she should have figured. I said to her, we did great work today. I can't wait to see you again. Do you need change? And she paid me, and she went home, and she came back, and she never did it to me again. I was very nice, and I was very strong. Being nice and being strong is not two different things. We think either we give them what they want or we're nasty. You can be structured and be strong and be nice. And it's a great life skill, by the way. You learn it with the kids and then you have it for everything else.
So what is that? Like give a compliment?
It's called a connect, like a connect, a direct, that's from here, and then a connect. You're connecting.
Connecting is validating.
I'll give you a whole workshop. It's an hour and 15 minutes. That's all I'm doing. It's about that you're saying something nice, you're saying something strong, and then you're saying something really, really nice. And you try to like not to float with that. And then the neocortex is the part of the brain that I really try to live in more and more and more and more and more. That's the part of the brain that's up here. You know, we put tefillin here and a yarmulke here. It's like this is that part of the brain where we know the emes lamita, we know the truth about the truth. Hashem's our tati, and He loves us, and He's in charge. And what do we know? And every ounce of effort that we make is a success. You know, if you make supper and it burns, the kids don't have food to eat. It was a failure. But the fact that you cooked supper is a success because we created angels, we created malachim. Like it's a real thing. You put effort into a child. You try to stay calm. You're working on yourself. That's part of being in the cortex. Like just know, and kids don't. You know, when Mama said, "Doesn't he get it?" The answer is no. He does not get it. There is no brain space available yet. He's gonna get it. You have to give him time. It's a part of the brain that's like a tzaddik part of the brain. I really, really want to be a part of there. So the primal part of the brain screams. Where am I here? The primal part of the brain screams, feed me, clothe me, hold me. And the limbic system screams, love me, set boundaries with me. The cortex screams, teach me, guide me, I want to know. And then the neshama screams, that's like the fourth part of the brain. It says, connect to me, teach me how to connect. Make me be a vessel, a keli for connection. I want to connect. And that's what we're really trying to do. When we set boundaries with our kids, when we make them eat with a fork by the table, we're making them into human beings that will be super duper, so really, real beautiful connectors. Really, there are, I'm going to just wrap this up. There are no right answers. We're going to focus much more on solutions than emotions. I try very hard to think about, I just had a beautiful, beautiful story I told to her on the way. So my 7-year-old son has a tati now who he absolutely adores. It's an absolute miracle. It's a beautiful thing. And we're running to Achnas Sefer Torah. My husband's a Rebbe. He went to work. He came home after. Remember, we're all still so exhausted from the holiday, right? It's like, and he's coming home. I was supposed to meet him at Achnas Sefer Torah, and we missed it. The dancing on the streets, we missed because by the time we got there, they were already dancing in shul, and my son was inconsolable. He wanted to dance with his tati on the street, and he was crying and crying and crying. And I saw that he was crying to my husband. And my husband said to him, let's first dance inside, then we're going to find a solution. He didn't get lost in it because men are able to do that better. Just not get lost and be able to be up there. And after they danced, they were exhausted. My husband, and we already danced lots of times, right? This was like, and he went outside and he looked for, we say facklin. What are those fires that they hold on the street?
Sparklers.
Torches, the torches that the kids hold. It says on it like Kimitzi and Tete Torah, like Pasuk, and they all dance. So all the torches from dancing on the street were, the kids threw them on the floor and they blew out the fires. So he and my husband collected them. And he said, when we come home, we'll dance outside the house. We'll light them and we'll dance outside the house. And I was like, how do you think of that? I'm like, that's a solution. Like, that was such a good idea. I'm like, you need to stop complaining. You know how lucky you are. We got to the dancing. You already danced so much. I'm like, and then it's just like, let's stop focusing. Like in the cortex, we know we're going to focus on solutions. We're not going to focus on emotions. Like the feeling part is not really where we want to say. There really are no right answers. Here I write, you'll figure it out. And that's because I was younger when I wrote, you'll figure it out. Now I'm really writing and I'm saying, Hashem will help us figure it out. I had a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous story on Simchas Torah. So, it used to be 2 years ago, Simchas Torah, my husband was in shul and he had 5 sons around him. And and the Ezras Nashim was our shul. We gave a lot of money to the shul to build the shul with our life. We had a rabbi down there, very close knit. And I was upstairs with the girls and my married daughter and the babies. And this was picture perfect. And now it's not what Hashem wants anymore. And Simchas Torah is hard. It's a first. And now Hashem wants me to be the wife of a chassid of a different shul. There are different sects in the community here also. So maybe you can a little bit understand it. It's a different sect now. Like this, just a different, our Rebbe is now the Biana Rebbe, and this is my husband. The dancing is most of the singing is different, and it's a different kind of a shul. Now, what should I do? Should I stay home? Should we go to the old shul? Should we go to the new shul? And there are 12 children, so who needs what? So if we could make a photocopy of all of us would have, me and my husband would have stayed home, we would have gone to the shul, we would have gone to that shul. But anyways, we dive, and then we dive, and one of the kids could really have used me on her to be home with her. And I saw Esru Chag. I was home in the kitchen Thursday and Friday, and she was so happy. That's where she really needed me to be. I'm her new mother now. That's really would have been the best option. But I couldn't do that. But for my son, my 16-year-old buffer, that he's gonna be the one that's gonna take over his father. He's standing by his father's stender, like it says his father's name on it, and it's intense. The shul, it's hours and hours and hours of davening. It's like the dancing is started till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually, that's when it finishes, and he should be there by himself in shul. But the 13-year-old and the 7-year-old really need us, and I have to be with my new husband in the new place, creating new neural paths. So after thinking and thinking and thinking and davening, I told my 16-year-old son, you go daven by Tati's place. You do your thing. I told my son Amram, who was 13-year-old, like, we are going to daven in shul at your age and your father next to you. We didn't have a father next to him for a year and a half. He doesn't really know what to do in shul. He had a bar mitzvah without having that guidance. So you're going to come in shul with your father. You're going to do what you need to do. And afterwards, after we finish dancing, you can go to the other shul for Masif. We're going to come join you because the davening there is so much later. Well, it turns out that we ended up staying in Bian till 4 o'clock. The dancing was much longer than it would have been. We had no idea. But when we finished dancing, my husband said, I bet you we missed all the dancing in the other shul, because he had told my little one, my 13-year-old, you go daven in the other shul. I'm coming to join you. Wait for me. I'm going to dance with you by your father's shul, where your father used to daven. But anyways, we run there. This is from 45th Street in Borough Park to 62nd Street.
Oh my God.
And it's after a whole day of dancing, and we're like, at the end, someone's sorry, but anyways, my husband walks into shul, and my married son is collapsed on the floor. And my 16-year-old son, who just watched his father die in front of his face, is like pouring water. And it just happened like that minute. Like that, like when Hashem needs, I just, every time I think about it, when Hashem wants my child to have a father there, he will have somebody there. My husband took my Chaim Shalom and said to him, Tzaddik, I'm here. I'm taking care of your brother. Go dance with your friends. I'm taking care. You sure you're taking care? Yeah. He was like passing out from watching it, because we have so much trauma around this. And he washed my son up, and something had happened with him, the married one. And he washed his face and he gave him to drink. He took care of him. And then davening was over. We missed the whole thing, by the way. And then on the way home, we bump into my 13-year-old, who had found out that his brother was on the floor. Some brilliant person came to tell him. And he came running back to shul, and he tells me, I bet you he drank. How could he drink? He has a son. He's thinking about his brother dying right away, right? And I just thought to myself, Borough Park is a grid. What was the likelihood of me bumping? There's no phones, it's Yantif. How could I have bumped into him? Each one of my 3 sons had a father the minute that they needed one. And I told my husband, we need to repeat this story every single day. There's nothing that we could yes to or not to. You're gonna be calm, you're gonna be loud, you're gonna be noisy, you're gonna try to be calm, and then you're gonna be in the beginning of a pregnancy and nauseous on the floor, and your kid needed you and you couldn't, and you're gonna know that that's what Hashem wanted for your child. I reckon you'll figure it out. I'm saying Hashem will figure it out for your child. They love our kids. Hashem loves our children much more than we do. And I believe that it takes so much azotz, chutzpah, guts to raise kids today. We have so much competition. There's the technology out there is so tough. You know, I was doing internet addicts before people knew about it. All of them 12-step meetings. That's what I was doing. Like that's what, you know, and then and now it's like every kid, you know, I stand outside Shomer Shabbos in Borough Park. I hope it's not considered Lashon Hara. I just watch all these little boys coming out with their, like this, you know, with all the technology, and our boys were trying very hard to keep them away from it. I don't know. It used to be that in order to get into trouble, you had to, any of you remember this? We had to go to the library, the Finkelstein Memorial Library, to get some trouble. Like you had to figure out money for a cab and had to call. We didn't have our own phones. Figure out how to call a car. Now you don't need anything. You just get thing. And you're all taken care of. Like it is very scary, and only with our amuna that Hashem wants the world to be exactly the way it is right now, and that our kids are tough enough to deal, and we are tough enough to be tough enough for our kids to help them deal. That's really what's going to get them through them. And you should know, it's extremely inspiring to me to have such a group of mothers that really want to do this. It's unbelievable, because, you know, I love the honesty. When you call me, you're like, I don't think I'm doing this again. Like, you know, can you help me? Because I really want to do this. This is so much work. Like, any of you know how much work parenting would be?
No.
No, aren't you glad you didn't know? It's also so rewarding. Hashem should help that we're gonna all see this like the sweet fruit of all of this. It's a lot of reward at the end. Thank you. Well, we're done. We're good.
Thank
I can do
you.
more questions for another 5 minutes if you'd like. Yeah. Is that what you want?
You can do questions and then on Zoom they have questions. too.
Oh, let's do questions on Zoom first, because people didn't have
Okay.
time. Can you show me how?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. You guys could unmute yourselves now.
Can I see somebody?
Yeah, show your face.
I wonder if you can get the same information on Zoom. I feel that it's very hard to get the same information on Zoom. There's so much that a body and a face tells us, so much more.
So I have like 55 women who joined.
Oh, wow.
No, not Zoom and
Good.
yeah,
Yes,
Jessica, why
Yeah.
don't we just type in the question?
yeah, they could.
because we're not, in the meantime, let me take a question here until she
Yeah.
figures it out.
could text it to you. Yeah.
Okay, so we can ask a
I have a
question.
question.
Yes.
You said connect, direct, connect. In
Good.
the midst of this connect, direct, connect, I get but,
Good.
and it's like the buts keep on coming. And I feel like, okay,
I
how
get
many
so
times
lost.
can I like say the same thing and be strict? And I'm like, it's just not even worth it. Like half the time I'm like, just like if it's like life and death, okay, I'm gonna be like really strict, but then everything else is like
Some of the kids, by the way, that is a great parenting technique for some of the kids. Okay, just give in. For some of the kids, it works. For my kids, whenever I give in, I just open the door and there's rats all over my house. For every yes I say, I have to say 100 more no's. It doesn't help. They're almost begging me, please say
So
no.
what do I say with these butts? How do I like stop the butts? I can't. deal
What
with
can you
butts
rhyme
anymore.
about? Give me a rhyme for butt. Something nice, okay?
It's very bad.
Very bad.
Like, hot.
Okay. You know what else you can do?
Not.
Well, you know what you could do? But everyone in my class has it. And you can say, everyone in your class has it. And you really want it. No football. So then they can say, but. And then again, you repeat what they're saying. It sounds like you're really upset.
Yeah, stop the like stop repeating me. You're bothering me.
I know. It's really
I really want free
annoying.
time right now.
I know. It's really annoying. First, you get ready for bed, and then there's free time. You're gonna be okay.
No, but if I do that in a split second, the house will be clean. They will do anything to get like five minutes of free time. Like that's how,
What's free time?
like just playing, relaxing.
What?
Like
You're giving the next class.
even like playing a game on the iPad, like
Screen time.
even screen time.
Oh, free time is screen time.
Not always, but not always, but like yeah.
I want you to know that I don't even think it's an option not to have screen time. Is it an option, no screen time?
I don't know,
Not
you tell us.
these days.
Because I really
Yes, there's
cannot.
options, no screen time. No, I don't want it. Like school nights, I really don't want
No,
it.
she means like ever.
No, like ever.
I feel like that these days, like, it's.
No, I get
So I want you to know that I am not going to make choices for you about what your rules are, because every community, every family, every child is different. You know, Corona. What happened by Corona was every single store and anybody opened up their warehouses and dumped everything on the house. You cannot imagine. The watching and the eating and the playing and the my son said to me, I'm a Yassim 2020. This is so cool. He has this like little motorbike. He's driving all over the place. And then he only wanted the kind that you stand on. Yassim 2020. It's so cool.
Yes, but I feel
On the
like
things.
any screen time could become crazy.
Yeah.
Right. There is absolutely no
Like,
screen time in my house right now. Because
Because
zero screen time is much easier than limiting screen time. I don't know how to do it. Maybe I can help you, but like if you have chocolate in the house, you're gonna be fighting with chocolate a whole day. I know maybe some of your kids not. But if it's not, it's just not worth it. Like I just don't want to like have it and then be fighting on it like that. But what's the core of your question?
The core of my question.
Why should I stick to it if they keep on nagging?
Yes,
Good.
I can't handle it anymore. I know I should be patient, but I
Good.
can't.
Right. Say Hilgi Bashefa, please give me the energy because I need to be straight. I want you to know that it takes more strength than I ever knew I had. Like I really find maybe because like I'm rebuilding my insides right now, but like they say but, and I say, it sounds like you really want it. You're going to be okay. And the stronger I am, but it seems like you're much stronger.
She is
I'm
very, I was
strong.
gonna vouch for her.
No, I'm very
She's
strong. My kids are very disciplined, but like
She's very.
I'm
she could
like
get
Nazi.
Okay, but so maybe for you the victory is to give in. Maybe for every time she gives in, you don't give in. Everybody has a different victory.
Right, I hear that.
Wait,
Yeah.
it's just screen time? You said it's also to play, to have free time. What's wrong with that?
Like when
they're
I
supposed
like
to be
them to
doing
study a
homework.
lot. Like I like them to like be in their books reading.
Okay, girls, she's giving the next class.
Yeah, she has the opposite.
I want to just show you here. You all saw this? What the classes are going to be? No, okay, so I'll just tell you. Number 2 is the victory method. It's my favorite one. Number 3 is love languages. You know the love languages?
Yeah.
Gary Chapman, but I do a little bit more in detail. For kids, for teens, for singles, for spouses, for everything. It's good. And number 4 is instilling a love for Yiddishkeit in our children, where I basically scare you to death that if you lose it and you don't say I'm sorry, you're making a real problem. And then, which is sometimes true. Nothing is like whatever. When I made this, I knew much more that everything was 100%. Now I know that less and less. And like there's very little absolute truth. But there's talking so your children will listen is the love sandwich I told you about. And then workshop number 6 is, but they're still not listening. Why are they still not listening? And to just do a little bit more troubleshooting.
The second class chapter first.
Before I tell you how to talk, I'm gonna tell you why they're not listening. The right way to fight. That there is a right way to fight, but we're gonna teach them how to fight the right way. Stop the kvetching, stop the chutzpah, which I'm taking back. You don't stop anything, but you can work on stopping that's the goal, is to like help with the kvetching and the chutzpah. And then workshop number nutrition is encouraging healthy eating habits, which I wonder if I wonder how much of the science of that class. It's new science now. We're doing new kind of things, but it's more about encouraging eating healthy rather than we say the more we're pushing it from here, the more resistance, resentment, and rebellion. The more external control, I don't want to push it too much. And workshop number 10 is raising capable adults. That's your favorite class, going to be the charts, getting everything in, everyone on time. I promise my Chaydinala, you get into bed, 9 o'clock is the time. I'm giving a parenting class. You're going to get on speakerphone. You're going to call at 9 o'clock and say, okay, mommy, I'm ready. I brushed my teeth. I put Negovasa next to my bed. My clothing is ready for tomorrow. My briefcase is ready with my snack. My homework is signed, and I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. Yay me. But she ended up making a mistake, and she was ready for 8. She was rushing so much because she was so excited. But that's what that class is about. And understanding that when we need our kids to do something and we're getting all lost and all pulled in all directions, the real reason why we want them to be helping in the house and being part of the cooking and part of building the sukkah and part of putting away their clothes is because they're capable, happy human beings afterwards. One more question and then we go.
Were you discussing consequences?
You want to give that class?
She discusses everything.
It's not my style so much. And I want you to know that some of you will find that other parenting people are more your style. If people just sing your music, everybody is just a little bit different. I want you to know I'm doing more consequences now than I ever did in my life. Because I don't know, my kids really need a much stronger mother. That's what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? If you're
What are your consequences?
I just did now the bedtime thing. 9 o'clock is your bedtime. If you are not ready for bed at 9, she's liking this. If you're not ready for bed at 9, then tomorrow night you're gonna be in bed at 8:45. And this I did it.
That's okay to do.
If
If
it works,
You couldn't get them to
works.
bed at 9. How are you gonna get them to bed at 8:45?
Right, good. But so if then works for some mothers, it doesn't work for other ones. How do you reinforce it? She doesn't give them the
right away. You're not gonna need to get to this point. You're fighting with that.
You should know that my Benzino, my son says, "Mommy," when he has a son now. He has he's ready to marry tonight. He said, "Mommy, you used to say Mommy is not very proud of you. I used to cry in my room for an hour.
Oh.
That was the punishment. It's not really happening right now. I don't know. It's not. I, the dynamics have dramatically shifted. So it worked then. It doesn't. It doesn't work now. So you have to just keep on trying and mixing it. And also, I want you to know that parenting and being a teacher in a classroom is a completely different thing. And some of your kids behave much better in class than they behave at home, right? Yes.
Can I ask a question?
One sec. Yes.
What do you do when you have two of the like let's say for example two boys and they're in the bathroom together, but young boys, but and they're being a little bit like not inappropriate, but they're like doing things with their private area. Like one is showing to the other one and making fun, and one is like touching and.
Anyone know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
They're
so-
in the
so-
bathroom together. like-
Okay, so this is like saying, what do you do when you find your kids sneaking cookies? Or if it gets like worse like than this, then you can say like, what do you do when you go to the grocery and like the kid takes a chocolate bar, opens it and eats it? So is this psychotic? No, it makes sense, but the kid definitely needs some guidance. You know, those are, I do more like, these are my private prizes. No one's allowed to touch them. It's not sneeze. We stay safe. We talk about it. It's not terrible. And most probably they shouldn't be taking a bath together.
Right, but what if okay, so then what if like one has to go to the bathroom and the other one has to go to the bathroom and they both run to the bathroom and they're both peeing on the floor, and it just becomes a huge mess.
You only have one bathroom, right?
Well, we're in the middle of putting in a new one.
That
So
will, or I keep one potty outside in another room. You ever did that? Sometimes if you don't have the space. Right, to be able to do that. I want you to know that the reaction that you give a kid when they're doing that face that you, that is the most, that's what affects them more than everything else. On one hand,
action. I feel like an animal came out of me.
yes, you're right.
Because I feel like they did it on purpose. Like it was a fun thing for them to do together, to pee on the floor and to.
Not something that we encourage. I would like for my children to develop a smoke alarm that when somebody invades their body space, the alarm should ring so they end up being safe later. I want to help them be safe, but I also don't want to make disgust or dangerous. I just say, uh-oh, not sneeze. Everyone go their pants up. Those are your private prizes. We don't show them off in public. Like very parrot, but strong.
Right, we were doing that, but then my third one, he's like a little jokester. Like he thinks it's just a funny thing, and he'll just keep doing. He's like a little clown. Okay. He just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it.
Time he does it, just pull up his pants and give him a hug. Like the more crazy you get about it, the worse this is gonna get.
What age are we talking about?
2, 3, 4, 5. When I'm getting an 11-year-old doing something that like, oh my God, he like, where's this information from? Like. That's when I'm getting more worried. I want to develop a healthy smoke alarm that if somebody goes into your circle, the alarm should ring. So but on the other hand, I want them to be happy spouses one day. So that's really the balance. But I used to do a parenting hotline. Every fourth question was about this. 1, 2, 3. Number 4 was always, I caught my 2 kids in the bathroom. My daughter was outside with the neighbor. You don't even know what they were doing. I said, congratulations, you have a yummy, healthy child. Now let's teach them how to take care of this. Like, this is your stuff. You keep your pants up. We don't touch. It's not sneeze. These are your private prizes. Like that, like that's it. It's yours without making any
Make it into like a joke, like it's a joke for them.
That's how kids play. It's normal. Okay, everybody.
Wing. It's like gets to you.
Yes.
So
one more question.
So today, I have 2 girls and a boy. When the girl, something spilled, or they were pouring something out of the backpack, and she goes, "Mommy's gonna be so mad."
Aww.
So how do you feel that fear? Like, I want them to be comfortable to tell me, God forbid they got in trouble or whatever.
Right.
But
at the same time, I'm kind of happy that like they knew like they're not supposed to be pouring this out. Like, why are you just making a mess for fun? Like, mommy's gonna get mad. Like, you shouldn't.
Is it a
be
bad
making
thing
a
if one kid spills water and the other one says, "Oh boy, mommy's gonna be mad"? I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing. Look at her face. She's a kind, sweet person. What? Listen, if you really lost it at a kid, bad.
No,
okay?
I didn't.
And then the kid goes like this when they go near you, and then we want to work on it. Okay, but like that, like mommy's gonna be mad. I would rather, we have Ava and we have Yira. Yira means either fear. We're supposed to love Hashem. We're supposed to fear Hashem. Yira either means fear or it means awe. Yeah, I would love that my kids would say, like, I would not want to break mommy's heart. I love her so much. I'm so in awe of her. I'm not going to spill this, but that's not, the other kind of fear is like, I don't want to get in trouble. So let's go get a napkin and wipe this up. Amazing. Okay, everybody, good night. I can't wait to see you. When is it going to be, in 3 weeks? October 25th. Okay, great. Thank you.
I don't know.